There cannot be a more degrading system of social organization than Chaturvarnya. It is the system which deadens, paralyzes, and cripples the people from helpful activity. There came a man who gave his life to lift them up from the darkness of millennia-old social brutality and injustice, who gave them dignity, self-respect, and a will to fight for their human rights. His decrepit ancestral home at Ambedkar in coastal Kolaba district of Maharashtra and the stark locality and silent tombs of his ancestors at nearby Dapoli may have a story to tell. Legend has it that a spiritual ancestor blessed Ramji and his wife Bhima that they will bear a son who will brighten the dark horizon of his people. The son, Bhimrao, was thus born on 14th April 1891 in the military colony of Mhau in Madhya Pradesh, his father being a Subedar major in the Indian Army. Bhimrao spent his childhood at Dapoli. His family shifted to Satara, where he lost his mother. He was thus brought up under the loving care of his paternal aunt, Mirabai. It is not difficult to imagine how the young Ambedkar's sensitive mind reacted to the treatment the untouchables were given. In school, the teachers were kind and compassionate. One of the Brahmin teachers was fond of young Bhim and was so impressed by his intellect that he lent his own name to the young student. And thus, Bhimrao Ambedkar became Bhimrao Ambedkar. Nevertheless, caste discrimination was galore. Young Bhim pursued his studies diligently, often sleeping in the company of goats, reading in public parks and under street lamps. Ambedkar was married immediately after his success in the matriculation examination in the Baikala public vegetable market. The age of the groom, 17 years, and the bride Ramai, 9 years. After graduation, he served the progressive-minded Maharaja of Baroda, Sayaji Rao Gaikwad, who provided Ambedkar with a scholarship to go abroad. Then on to the United States of America, the land of liberty and equality, the land of Thomas Jefferson and Abraham Lincoln, to pursue higher studies. Columbia University, New York. Ambedkar had a passion for knowledge and an obsession with books. Above all, he knew he must study hard to fight his battles back at home. Eleanor Zelliot, a noted scholar of Ambedkar's writings and Dalit literature, says,
1913-1916 were Columbia's glory days. It was the most distinguished center of learning, I think, in America. He studied with many distinguished teachers. Perhaps the most famous is John Dewey, America's best-known educator. Pragmatic, in love with democracy, a world traveler, Ambedkar remembered John Dewey all his life, and at the end of his life, used to imitate his teaching style.
From USA to the London School of Economics for advanced studies and also putting in terms at Gray's Inn for law. But his scholarship remuneration had run out. Despite his efforts, Ambedkar had to go back and serve Baroda state on the insistence of the state's Diwan. So humiliating was the treatment meted out by the high caste staff to this senior official of the Baroda state that Ambedkar returned to Bombay disgusted. A brief stint as a lecturer in Bombay's Sydenham College, and then this unusual young man of learning who had launched a crusade against the system of caste, attracted the attention of Shahu Maharaj of Kolhapur, himself a reformist prince who worked hard to break the hold of Brahmin priests on society and emancipate the downtrodden. In 1920, that Dr. Ambedkar, under the patronage of Shahu Maharaj, launched a fortnightly to articulate the anguish of his depressed community. The journal was appropriately titled Mook Nayak, the Dumb Hero. After all, Dr. Ambedkar was the greatest follower of Mahatma Jyotiba Phule, that outstanding man who championed the cause of women and the depressed in the 19th century. Soon, the prince offered him a scholarship to complete his discontinued studies in London, and Dr. Ambedkar set sail for England in July 1920. Ambedkar returned home in April 1923 before the degree of Doctor of Science was awarded to him. A great reception awaited the young man. From then on, while practicing law in the Bombay High Court, he plunged headlong into his life's mission to uplift the untouchables, to educate them. To achieve these goals, his first organizational attempt was the establishment of the Bahishkrita Hitkarani Sabha, an organization for the welfare of outcasts. In 1926, he was nominated by the governor to the Bombay Legislative Council. As a conscientious legislator, Ambedkar applied his erudition and legal knowledge to champion the causes of the lowly and the poor. His fame began to spread far and wide. Young intellectuals from the depressed classes began gathering around him. Dr. Ambedkar was invited to the Round Table Conference in London in September 1930 as a representative of the depressed classes. The objective of the conference, held at the historic St. James Palace, was to frame a constitution for India by taking into account the views of various sections of people. Dr. Ambedkar pleaded at the conference that the bureaucratic form of government in India should be replaced by a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. In all the 3 rounds of the Round Table Conference, in the plenary sessions, in committee and in subcommittee meetings, Dr. Ambedkar used all his erudition and skill to champion 2 causes: India's freedom and safety, and the protection of the depressed in a free and democratic India. He was elected to the Bombay Legislative Assembly in the first general elections of 1935 as an independent Labour Party candidate. He gave deep thought to the plight of the working class, even as he organized workers' trade unions. He spoke on the finances of the state and the nation. Agrarian problems, such as the consolidation of small holdings, attracted his studied comments.
He seemed very keen on that. He also told me he wanted to establish a minimum wage for workers. If I tell you that it was many years later that the British Labour Party embarked upon such a scheme, you'll see how advanced he was and his thoughts.
Education, in his view, was the major weapon to fight social evils. His long-cherished dream was fulfilled when he founded the People's Education Society and started Siddharth College at Bombay in June 1946, and later the Milind Mahavidyalaya, Aurangabad. He had a mission to fulfill. Destiny awaited him in Delhi. In July 1942, Dr. Ambedkar was invited to join the Viceroy's Executive Council as a Labour member. Dr. Ambedkar was elected to the Constituent Assembly of India in October 1946. His outstanding moment came when he was elected and made chairman of the committee to draft the Constitution. I know that today we are divided politically, socially, and economically. We are in warring camps, and I am probably the leader of one of the warring camps. But with all this, I am convinced that given time and circumstances, nothing in the world will prevent this country from becoming one. And with all our castes and creeds, I have not the slightest hesitation in saying that we shall in some form be a united people. Dr. Ambedkar, besides becoming the law minister in the interim government of Free India, was ordained to become the principal architect of the Constitution of India. The happiest person was Mahatma Gandhi. It was a proud moment for India, he told Ambedkar himself, that the former downtrodden had become the lawmaker of Free India. Ambedkar's extensive knowledge of world history, his profound commitment to the universal democratic principles, and concern for safeguarding the human and political rights of the minorities went into the monumental work of drafting the document. His reply in the House on the prolonged discussion of the draft is considered among the remarkable speeches in India's parliamentary history. When the Constituent Assembly, in the name of the people of India, adopted the Constitution with its 395 articles and 8 schedules on November 26, 1949, no less than Dr. Rajendra Prasad, President of the Constituent Assembly, and Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Prime Minister of the interim government, paid glowing tributes to Dr. Ambedkar. Ambedkar, in 1935, he had made a pledge that he would not die a Hindu. 20 years had passed. His health was failing. It was time to fulfill the pledge. Dr. Ambedkar's embracing Buddhism was an epoch-making event. Nearly 1 million untouchables accompanied Dr. Ambedkar on his new path. But more important than the numbers, the grand Diksha ceremony symbolized the denouncement of the Hindu caste system and the pernicious practice of untouchability.
His personal secretary, Nanak Chand Rattu, says,
early in the morning, the servant and the driver, they came to my place, knocked the door. As soon as I opened, I was surprised to see their faces. I took it that something must have happened. I immediately inquired, is Baba Sahib all right? But they did not have, they only said that Mem Sahib had sent them to call you. So immediately I started, reached 26th Haripur Road. Mr. Ambedkar was sitting in the veranda waiting for me. Immediately I got out of the car. He took me inside and told me that Baba Sahib has left us.
Thus ended on December 6, 1956, the great journey of one of the tallest sons of India.
जो बिछुड़े हैं प्यारे से भटकते दर बदर फिर.
A fierce social rebel and yet a compassionate reformist. A proud nationalist who would not compromise on the rights of the downtrodden. An iconoclast who believed in the necessity of religion. A champion of women and the minorities. The last outstanding leader in the glorious chain of social reformers Maharashtra has produced, Ranade, Phule, Agarkar and Ambedkar. The great son of India who gave self-respect and political rights to the millions of untouchables of India.
हमन सिर बोझ भारी क्या